Amanda Schmidt, what a delight it is to be able to talk to you about Survivor 50 again.
Yay.
Another week comes, another week goes. If you all tuning in don't know, my name is Geoff. This is Amanda. We're the co-hosts of Outwit Outlast, the podcast about all things Survivor. Hello,
Hello.
welcome.
All right. So I think the recap of this episode can be very
Do it
short.
in a haiku.
Um, oh God, a real haiku or a coach haiku? Because that was not, I'm going on the record, that was a 6 syllable, 8 syllable, 5 syllable haiku, betrayal all around. Nobody tells the truth like Coach 8. War has been declared. I'm declaring war on Coach's haikus. They're bad and
Well, the
wrong.
last one was
The last one was right.
that's all he cares about, war.
That's all he cares
I
about.
think I think
Um,
from now on we should do our haiku recap of the seasons, the episodes in honor of Coach.
okay. Coach made me so mad. Um, D, sadly. I see.
here's,
I'm not very good at
here's my
improving
second.
haikus
Coach
either.
made me so mad. Jonathan was so much worse. Much worse. That's 7. Why did
We
D?
lost our hero. No, wait. We lost the great
We
D.
lost the great D.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Coach made me so mad. Jonathan was so much worse. We lost the great D.
We lost the great D.
So, where do you want to start?
Let's start with how much we don't like the gameplay of Coach and whether or not we like the gameplay of Jonathan. I don't like the outcome, but I was asking myself this morning if he was playing a good game, and I had to admit he kind of was. You know, I don't
Yeah,
like
I
it. I
think,
think he's going after the players that I love,
yeah.
but I think also it's not a bad strategy.
No, I have begrudging respect for Jonathan's game because I think it is smart to work with an honor and integrity alliance at the merge because they're not going to vote against you. And it's hard at the merge to, especially like this first merge vote, like everybody kind of wants to build a consensus around one person because it's so many people. It's the most people ever to tribal council, and they're all uneasy. So, like, if you're part of this 5 or 6 person honor and integrity, definitely not going to vote against each other alliance, like, nobody's going to go for that at the merge. Like nobody's going to try to take you out at the merge because nobody wants to do this, like, sort of scary, like, 6-8 split. But, like, there's just not a lot of margin for error there. And there are idols around. So, I think that working with that alliance is smart, but playing a little bit of a sneakier game underneath and like telling lies that you can point to later on and like being sort of manipulative in ways that you can point to later on that will impress the strategic people on the jury because there will be a lot of them, like, makes sense to me. So I do think he's playing a smart game by sticking with people who are never going to vote against him, but I think he's playing a smart game by balancing seeming really honorable to those guys while still being strategic. So I'm begrudgingly respectful of it. It makes me mad in ways that might not be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it makes me a little upset in ways that aren't fair. But I think perhaps that's just everybody has their favorites for reasons that are pretty subjective in some ways. I think Jonathan's game right now is smart in the way that you pointed out, in the way that he's using Coach as a shield,
Mm-hmm.
sort of, although he's pretty far out front too. It's
Yeah.
not like he's setting Coach up to do all the damage. He's confronting D in a very public way. Those two things I think are sort of smart. I actually think picking the fight with D made me mad. It's so manipulative.
Yeah, me too.
But Then
But
I read,
Survivor is,
yeah, well, yeah, the fact that she kind of leaned into it uh, was a good lesson, I think, for future Survivor players, which is to not take the bait. I think Jonathan's game is maybe not so smart when it comes to jury management.
yeah.
Um, and I think that there is a majority now of players that are not honor and integrity that will wind up on the jury probably much sooner than the honor integrity players wind up, but we'll debate that in a minute. Um, and that is going to be, I think, bad for his game down the road because I can't imagine that if Jonathan picked a fight with me and like went after me that publicly, I would ever vote for him to get $1 million if I was on that jury. And if I was a friend of that person, I would never vote for Jonathan. So I think he's lost some votes already and he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, I think that you're totally right about that. Like intentionally pissing off the person that you want to be the first member of the
Yeah.
jury, that like you just are not thinking super carefully about that. And maybe Jonathan's plan is to end up with a lot of those honor and integrity people on the jury and not sitting at the end with him. I don't know what his plan is long term, but I do think that that was a mistake. And I'm not sure he needed to do it. Like it was overkill by
In
Jonathan.
fact, I agree that all Jonathan had to do was be a Iago and like whisper the idea into Coach's ear, and Coach would have run with it as he does,
Yeah.
and that would have been a smarter play for sure. So
And like a public blow up at camp does put a little bit of a scarlet letter on Dee, like the fact that Emily was sitting there watching it and then later was willing to divulge information about Dee, like that might be related. Like I think that Dee had a lot of allies who were willing to distance themselves from her in order to not rock the boat on this first 14-person merge vote. And I think that like maybe the public blow up didn't help with that. But I think they're all cowards, and I'm bummed. I love Dee.
yeah, let's also acknowledge that Dee did make a pretty catastrophic blunder, at least one. And come on,
Yeah,
no, that was bad. And there was no amount of damage control that she could do. I read that she tried, and it was just obviously failing. And honestly, I think maybe the Scarlet Letter is there so that also then coupled with that, if she didn't have the Scarlet Letter, maybe you would forgive her or find a way to work with her. But
yeah.
I don't know. That's not great gameplay.
Like, as far as I can tell, the only mistakes that she made was telling Emily about Rizzo's idol, and I think that was a calculated risk by her. I think from the interview with Dalton Ross, I learned that she did pregame, and one of the two people she gave her word to was Emily.
Uh,
So, like, she's coming into the game with a very close alliance in her mind with Emily. And she has information. Maybe Rizzo's idol would have been kept a secret because Genevieve wasn't sharing about it from her
right?
end. So, like, if Dee and Suri had actually both kept quiet about it and told Ozzy but no one else, then maybe the information wouldn't have gotten out. But I don't know if we know whether Suri and Ozzy also told anyone else. Like, I do think it's possible the information would have gotten out anyways, and I think that's probably where Dee was coming from, and she didn't realize how incredibly loose lipped Emily would be on this season. Like, I think that's kind of just as much Emily's mistake as it is Dee's, is what I'm saying. And I think
Okay.
it was a mistake by Dee, but like I understand why it was a decision that she made. Like I think she was playing a bold game, and playing that bold game involves trying to build a lot of trust with both Rizzo and Emily, and that
In the
backfired.
interview that I read, she said that she regretted telling Emily almost as soon as the words were out of her mouth. She knew that she'd made a
Okay.
huge mistake, and she
Okay.
obviously did. I I
Yeah.
don't want to apologize for D too much. Let's be a little clear-eyed about it. It was a mistake.
No, that's fair. She shouldn't have told
She was
Emily.
hoping that it wouldn't catch up to her. It's different when it's like camp gossip and everybody finds out about everything, and you say to yourself, well, I might as well capitalize on the fact that that's going to happen because everybody knows
Yeah.
that it's going to happen. But also, though, I would say that I know that you have been working hard to defend Emily's gameplay, but after this episode, I can't see it. I don't see the strategy. She seems to just blurt things out and blunder into situations and say things that she should not say. It's not good for her game to call Rizzo out like that in front of his allies and then throw your ally inadvertently even under the bus. That's not good gameplay.
Yeah.
So,
I don't disagree with you.
okay.
I think she's incredibly entertaining this season. I think she has strengths as a player. I can't quite figure out Emily because I agree with you that it is a mistake to have shared a lot of the information that she's shared, and probably her position in the game would have been better if Dee had stuck around this episode and someone like Coach or Aubrey or whoever else would have gone home if it weren't Dee had left. So I think she's made a lot of mistakes, but none of it, like, she's not experiencing massive consequences. Like, people want her around and want to work with her, and I can't figure out if it's because they like don't take her that seriously, and so they're like, she's a good person to bring to the end because she just blurts information out and that's not going to look good in Final Tribal, and they're already thinking that far in advance, or if they like trust her because she's so randomly open in such a genuine way. I think she has lied to people effectively, but no one believes that she's lying to them because she's so randomly open about some of this information that she probably shouldn't be. Like Angelina did say in her exit interview, like, Emily lied to me so well and I was so convinced that I was like Emily was the only person that made me feel safe in the game. And I think that Emily makes people feel safe because she's so wide-eyed and open about stuff. But she's still lying. So like I think that yes, she's making mistakes about what information she's shared, but I think it's part of something about her that makes her trustworthy in a way that is helping her game.
Well, this is maybe, but I think that that one shot that they left in of her approaching that group and tripping on the rocks on the beach was supposed to be symbolic of her game, which is that it is not careful and the virtues that you assign to her have a lot to do with personality and not much to do with gameplay. So that's great. That personality is going to take her to a certain place with certain people, but I also have a feeling that what we're not seeing in the edit is two things. One is her good gameplay. I would have liked to have seen her lie to Angelina and make her feel safe. That would have made me
Mm-hmm.
respect her gameplay more. But I don't think we're also seeing the reputation that she's getting around camp as somebody with a big mouth. And you don't want to take Emily into your confidence now. Everybody knows it because
But people are taking her into their
not anymore.
confidence.
That's what I'm going to say. I think that I don't
Maybe.
think Christian has taken her into his confidence. Dee certainly stopped. Rizzo knows that she's not to be trusted. She's isolating. She's becoming more and more isolated. And I think that's also why we're seeing less and less of her in the edit.
Me, I think it's hard to say, and I think it's really hard to say because I don't trust the edit of women on
That's
this
true.
season. Like, I think you're right that they left that stumble in because they want her to seem kind of foolish, but they're not leaving in her good gameplay, and she has had good gameplay this season that they haven't included. And they've included some of it. Like, I think they've included her building this relationship with Ozzy, and I also think that you're overestimating my guess how much people would be not telling her information because from Rizzo's perspective, she's come in. Ozzy trusts her. We know that. Rizzo and Ozzy trust each other. She came in and shared information that was useful to Rizzo. Like, people like when people share information with them. I think it's possible that he read that as like, oh, she's then going to share my information with other people. But I don't know. We're not seeing that. It's hard to tell how
Mm,
people are reacting her. I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that they all immediately don't trust her just because we're watching and we're like, how is she getting away with sharing all this information?
I don't know. I don't see the gameplay in the edit, and I don't know the edit, so it's a little hard to say whether or not she's playing a great game that has been fumbled in the edit.
I think it's been underplayed in the edit. I agree with you that she's not playing the best game on the
Come on,
island.
I mean,
Like,
that's
to be
all I'm
fair.
saying. She's not playing a good game.
No, I don't disagree with that. I just think that there are elements of it that I think are
Yeah.
good. I'd like to see like an analysis of how many times we see a character tripping and like what their outcome is in the game.
I'll bet you none of them win. I'll bet if you get a
Yeah,
trip
but
shot in the edit, you're doomed.
still pending what the correlation is between getting a pooped your pants edit and winning.
No, I guarantee you Christian's not going to win. You poop your pants, you don't win.
I don't know. I think it's different than tripping.
Devins might win, but Christian's done for.
Devins isn't gonna
I don't
win.
think so either. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the hope lies with the poly group.
I would love it if someone. I mean, it would be crazy if Rizzo won this
That would
season.
be crazy.
We've never seen, I think, someone come back from the season prior to a returning player's season and actually win. I just don't think a jury would want to vote for them.
The difference between a Rizzo and a coach is something that Dee pointed out in the exit interview I saw, which is that Rizzo is very self-aware
Yeah.
and coach is not.
Because Rizzo knows he's like playing a bit of a character
Yeah,
with the whole Riz God
yeah,
thing. Like he very much leans into
yeah,
it and is still smart and empathetic.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
hey, if Rizzo won this season, I gotta say I would be okay with it.
Honestly, I wouldn't be mad. I would be shocked, but I wouldn't be mad at
I,
it. I would, I mean, once again, I'm saying that the best outcome for this season is Suri winning.
oh yeah,
Although of the poly trio, I think it weirdly is most likely that Ozzy will win.
no, I
Which,
disagree. I think because the thing that always trips up Ozzy is that he doesn't see it coming. You know, he gets blindsided. He never sees it coming. He trusts too easily. He's going to go home with that idol in his pocket. I guarantee it.
I don't know. I think he's getting an edit like we're seeing him having learned from that. He knows that he can't trust Christian all the way.
Maybe.
He took the shot in the dark from him.
Well,
He's
that's
getting
true.
a dominant edit this season.
He is getting pretty good at
Um,
it. What do you think? Speaking of edits, I agree. Just to pivot a little bit, what do you think about the edit of Coach now?
I think in terms of the edit, you are right that they are making him seem like a fool and an idiot and completely manic this episode. Like he seemed kind of unwell, and they're keeping all of that in. Like they
Mhm.
want Coach to be the villain at this
Yeah,
point, and that is clear to me.
he's getting a foolish villain edit.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a foolish villain. I think Coach could be really fun to watch if he was just a foolish villain. Like if he was just spouting ridiculous haikus and like being egotistical and hypocritical. But he's also so clearly motivated by
Yeah,
sexism. And that makes him so frustrating to watch, especially on a season where the women aren't in the edit.
right.
Like I feel like I'm watching the like 20s, like the season 20
Yeah,
through 30 of Survivor, where there were all these men who just like took over and we didn't see nuanced edits of the women and we just saw these men being sexist and it made me so angry as like a 13-year-old and
yeah,
I feel like that again and it's really frustrating. He talks down to almost every woman. By the way, something interesting in Dee's interview was that she said that Coach just, on the original Kahlo tribe, Coach just did everything Chrissy told him. That's what Dee said. And I trust Dee.
okay.
And what we're seeing in the edit is that Coach is like talking down to
Yeah,
Chrissy and he's like trying to convince her not to be annoying.
yeah,
Like, I think that Coach is not as strong and as in charge as he seems like he is in the edit or as he thinks he
right.
is. And the edit maybe makes it clear that nobody really thinks he's in charge. We saw that whole sequence of Rizzo coaching Coach, but
So in the edit, at least, what we're seeing is Chrissy sort of swallowing a lot of humiliation on camera to remain in
mhm,
Coach's sexist good graces. We see Aubrey kind
mhm.
of genuflecting to Coach, and that is that makes me feel like I'm the parent of 13-year-old you watching a really sexist bunch of players without any consequences. They are not suffering any consequences yet, and that's very frustrating. And if a Chrissy or an Aubrey goes really deep in the game, is it because did they did they have to genuflect to the sexism of coach to get there? That feels icky to me too, a little bit, which I don't want to take away from their good gameplay if they do get there. Then they used that BS patriarchal sexism to their advantage and subverted it, which it would be a good way to read that. It makes me really. I think actually I didn't realize it at the time, but the pivotal mistake was voting out Colby and keeping Coach. None of the things that
Yeah.
happened afterwards. I can't imagine that Jonathan would have a lot of steam if Colby was there in the hammock.
And Colby wouldn't have been there
Right.
because Colby has said that they tried to medivac him before that tribal council, and he said, "Listen, I'm going home at tribal. Let me just stay this one night." So
Oh,
if they had chosen to vote coach, Dee and Emily would have been right with that gamble, and they would have gotten a two for
yeah.
one. Like,
Which would
Coach would have gone home at tribal, Colby would have gone home the next day. That whole honor and integrity thing kind of falls apart.
thank that would have been a great season to watch. This is shaping up to be one of those infuriating late 20s seasons. There's two ways that it could change. One is the middle, and one is Aubrey. So let's talk about the middle a little bit.
I'm having a hard time figure. And someone at tribal council said there are two sides forming, and then there are some people in the middle. But I kind of can't figure out who the other side is. I get that one side is like the honor and integrity annoying people, but who's the other side? Are we saying that Cerie's lovely polyamorous relationship is another side? Are we saying they're in the middle and the other side? I mean, clearly Coach doesn't think that Rick and Christian are the other side, which is kind of how I see it.
Right.
So I don't really understand. Like, is the other side just poor Tiffany? Like I don't totally get it.
I had that thought too. I don't really understand who he thinks he's opposing beyond Dee and Tiffany. Like everybody else, he either thinks is working with him, Aubrey. Maybe he assumes Suri, Ozzy. Maybe he thinks the poly group is the opposition.
Maybe. And they're sort of just coming
Yeah.
together to vote D out. I think it might have been a blunder by Cerie to let this vote go the way that it did, because I think she has enough influence that she could have pushed it in another direction. And in like a getting rid of one of those five or six people, like there's only so much time
Mhm.
that everybody who's not in that honor and integrity alliance has to make a move against them
Yeah.
before they have a majority. And I think that's an alliance that would stick with their
Yeah.
majority.
The middle is the other group. There is no middle anymore.
Yeah, but everybody's trying to be the middle, but like, I don't think it's. I get why they're doing it because they don't want to call attention to themselves, and Christian is probably especially worried about calling attention to himself after all the big moves he made pre merge, but like, someone's got to do something.
It was nice to. It was funny to see Christian push back a little bit on Coach, and also somebody was it Rizzo that had to say, "Look, the middle is Christian and Rick." Like,
Yeah, that was Rizzo. It was so funny.
so I really think if that group that isn't the honor and integrity group doesn't start voting out honor and integrity immediately next week, it's over for them.
I think they have like 2 more weeks.
No, I think we've seen this play before, where a group that is in the majority could see that, work together, start picking off the people that think they're the majority, and change the game, and they don't. And
I actually think that it is, in this case, not because the people who aren't in that five or six person alliance don't see their power. I think it's that they all don't see that five or six person alliance as threats. I think they see it as wastes of votes to vote coach out. Like, I think they don't see any of those 5 or 6 people as threats to win the game. And I think that's a
Yeah.
mistake because I think that they are all thinking of threats to win the game as people who are like them and are very strategic
Ah.
and sneaky. And they're like, we'll worry about Coach and Joe later because we know everything that they're going to do. But I agree with you that it's a mistake if they make it another week or two and they don't vote someone on that side
Mhm.
out. I don't know at what point a Chrissy or a Jonathan or a Stephanie will flip. Like they might, but it's like I think risky to depend upon it.
I, I have trouble seeing Chrissy, Stephanie, Jonathan. I don't think Jonathan is flipping anywhere. I think Jonathan is riding that coach train to the end, and he's using coach as his shield.
No, I don't disagree with that. I do think that he knows he needs to make some sort of big move to win the game, and I don't know if he's done it yet.
Oh, you think he's going to have to turn on one of those players to sell it to the jury?
I think, yeah.
Well,
But in a way
mhm.
that doesn't sour all the honor and integrity people on him. I think he knows that there are 2 ways to win the game if you are a super big and perceptible man. One is what Jeremy did, which is to keep every shield in the game for as long as
Yeah,
possible. And one is to do what Joe did, not that Joe won the game, and to build a super honor and integrity alliance that will never vote you out. Um, and I think he's sticking with the honor and integrity, but learning from what Joe did wrong by trying to build strategy into that. I guess that's sort of what Kyle did, actually.
hmm, yeah,
Because he's taking Shields out. Like, he's not doing what Jeremy did. So I do think he's going to stick with that group, but I think at some point he will need to make a strategic move that he can point to, and he knows that, and he's talking about it in confessional. So, like, I do think that at some
hmm,
point he might flip, but, like, I don't even know who he's going to work with. Like, he's not very close with anyone who's not in that honor and integrity group. So I don't think that what Christian and Rick and Suri and everybody else are waiting for is for Jonathan to flip. I think maybe Suri thinks that she can pull in someone from that group. Or I mean she's so good at pulling people in.
true.
Like the way that Stephanie just instantly told her secret when they're not even working
Yeah.
together. Like Suri is so good at
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So I think that if I'm Suri, I maybe think that I can flip someone from that group and I can worry about the people I think are bigger
Yeah.
threats, like D, sooner.
Every time I see Saria, I love her gameplay. I love her approach to other players so much. And I realize I'm not seeing any very many confessionals from her, and that makes me really worried. Like,
And
yeah,
frustrated.
in every other way, I would think this player is positioned to go really deep in the game, except
Mm-hmm.
the edit isn't suggesting that in a way that traditionally they do. Maybe they're just not doing a traditional edit, but
But Suri has always been the exception to the rule on her seasons.
yeah,
Like, she's always gotten a really good edit compared to the winner, despite being a woman of color. She's like one of the only women to ever get better edits than
right.
the men who win the seasons. Like, I think she might have gotten a better or very comparable edit to Aris, who, by the
Oh
way,
yeah,
since I've mentioned Aris, I think it's very cute that Suri is working with 2 men who sort of combine to become Aris. Like, Rizzo's got the, like, young, overeager charm, and then Ozzy's got that sort of, like, yoga staring off into the distance
yeah,
vibe, and he's, like, good at challenge it. Like, there's something about like I think you put them together and they are kind of Aris, and like you can see how joyful Suri is sitting in the hammock strategizing with Rizzo, and it does kind of remind me of her relationship with Aris
yeah.
way back when. Um,
I suddenly realized why the middle isn't going to be prevailing. It's because of Rizzo and Aubrey and maybe Suri. Like those are three satellite players that could align with a middle, whatever that is. But they all think that the coach alliance is beatable, so they're not going to want to take them out. You know, because it's much harder if you're Suri to beat, I don't know, Aubrey or Christian than it is to beat coach.
That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I,
Yeah. Like I think they don't see those 5 or 6 as
so that's
threats,
why
and
the
that's why
middle
they're not
isn't going
doing
to ever
anything about them.
coalesce.
Maybe, but I think you're underestimating all of them as players.
Mhm.
Like, I think you think that this Honor Integrity Alliance is going to go far, but there are two reasons I think that's not going to happen. One is because the only one of them who's getting a dominant edit is Coach, and I think it's because they're setting him up as a villain to be sent home dramatically. And two, they're not playing a very good game on a season where there are a lot of heavy
That's
hitters who
true.
are smart enough to. Christian is smart enough to know that those people are not going to turn. Those people are so predictable. They are always going to do one thing. I think Christian knows exactly when the numbers are going to flip where it's too late for him to change that.
By the way, I just realized who the other side is supposed to be from coach's point of view. It was Tiffany D and Emily for sure as the core of the side.
Oh,
I'm positive
maybe.
he lumps Emily in with that. That leaves out a wild card player for me, which is Aubrey, especially with the idol play. What did you think of that?
I think she tried really hard to make it sound strategic, but I think it was cowardly.
Oh,
Um, I think that she shouldn't have said, "Oh, I just forgot to play my
well, that
idol."
was
That was dumb, and she knew it was dumb. She immediately regretted it. She said so. But I think that then going up and saying, "I'm gonna play this because an idol is a scarlet letter if everybody knows about it," is a little bit running scared. I get why she did it because I do think that the idol was putting a target on her, but I also think that the target shifts constantly in Survivor. It would have blown over if she had just stopped talking about it, and then she would have still had an idol that can be used in many ways. An idol that everybody knows about, Rizzo has proven to us in season 49, can be as much of a weapon as, or more of a weapon than an idol that nobody knows about. So I think that she tried to make it sound like it was a smart and strategic move for her to get rid of it. Like she like went up there and made her little speech that was like it's a scarlet letter. I think that was just like very early jury management, which is smart. But I think that she's not fooling me. I think that it would have been smarter to keep it. Because now that's an idol that anyone could
that's
have.
true.
That's worse.
I have a slightly different take on it. She asked the $10,000 question to somebody, I've forgotten who now. What makes my idol such a threat when Rizzo and Ozzy both have idols and everybody knows it, but they're not being targeted? They're not having fingers pointed at them. And the answer was, well, you lied about it. You looked like you were going to get sneaky about it. But I think Aubrey has correctly also identified the current of sexism in this season.
Yeah.
And I think that Aubrey maybe made a difficult but smart decision to take that sexist gaze off of her for a
Yeah.
while, let those two factions go at each other without a target on her back. And,
Yeah.
5 votes from now, that tribe is going to look very different. And if there are no votes coming her way, she's going to be in a much more powerful position, maybe.
That's fair. And you're right. I think that the reason that everybody's looking at Aubrey and not Rizzo and Ozzy is less because she made that stupid mistake and lied about it, and more because she's a woman. And on this season, people like Coach, mostly Coach, are going to say, this woman is sneaky. And they're not going to say Rizzo is sneaky, even though Rizzo is objectively so
So much
sneaky.
sneak.
Ozzy's less sneaky, but
Now,
yeah, I think that's true.
and you're right, now that I think about it, that the players that get accused of playing too hard this season have been women. Dee played too hard. She thought that was why she got voted out, or that there was an accusation of that. And Genevieve was playing too hard. And Jenna, right, in the very
Jenna was
first
playing
vote,
too hard. Yeah.
was playing too hard. What about Coach? Like Coach isn't playing too hard.
Right?
Jonathan isn't playing too hard, coming after them. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a season that's starting to make me just a little sad about.
Yeah, it started off so strong, but
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. We'll
we'll
see.
see. I don't know. It's like some Shakespearean tragedy that hinges on the what ifs. If only Colby hadn't gotten injured, this terrible tragedy of coaches' sexism given free reign would not be something we had to sit through. If only Kyle hadn't gotten hurt so early.
I think it would have been so
Yeah.
different if Kyle hadn't gotten injured, and I would have loved to see the Kyle Genevieve cut of
Yeah.
this
Oh
season.
man, that would have been a powerful, powerful alliance that I think could have gone pretty far. Sometimes people sniff out a power alliance and take it apart.
But it still would have been interesting
Yeah.
to watch that happening.
Nobody is really sensing or taking apart the Rizzo Suri Ozzy alliance. Is it just still under the radar?
Maybe. I do think that the Suri Aussie thing was sort of an open secret. Like people knew, but nobody talked about it with them, and nobody knew the extent of it. And Rizzo and Suri and Aussie does feel like if you had asked me at the beginning of this season which alliance are you going to be rooting for, and I had to place three people together, I would have been low on my list of possible
That's
combinations.
why I like it so much, but I think it's a shaky alliance.
I don't know. I think all we're seeing in the edit is that they have a lot of trust, and I wish we were getting more of Suri, and it
Yeah.
makes me confused and worried that we're not.
I don't
But
think we got much of
I
Ozzy this episode either.
we still got some, but you're right, less Aussie this episode. But we've gotten so much Aussie this
Yeah.
season. I think Aussie has the most dominant edit so
It
far.
sure would be nice if Chrissy and Stephanie would come over to Surrey and do a different kind of old school Survivor alliance.
Yeah.
I Last thing about the tribal, it was nice to see Dee doing an old school live. I guess Geoff calls them live tribals.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that, and but you could tell that the idea wasn't quite getting traction, and it made me a little sad too that more people didn't see the wisdom of it.
I
You know,
know.
like everybody
Cause it,
voted. Coach's numbers at the end came out exactly how Coach was browbeating people to do. And Dee played her shot in the dark, which I'll die on the hill that that's a mistake.
I was the right decision for D. It was the right decision for Genevieve. I think if you play your shot in the dark and all of the votes are on you, you have made the right
I agree with
decision.
that. Yeah, that's true.
And I think it was really clear to her. Like
Yeah,
you could see she was trying really hard. And that's what I love about Dee is that she tries so
yeah,
hard even when she knows. And I think that she came in, this is what Dalton Ross has been saying and I think it's true,
yeah,
with house money. She's already won the show.
yeah,
She's just kind of there to have a good time and be part of
yeah.
something. And I think that that meant that she was willing to say, I'm not going to play a man's game.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to play any man's game. And I wish that more of them were playing with house money and were willing to do that because I think that that was the big
Yeah.
thing that she did. And maybe she would have made it a couple extra episodes, but I think she made a better impact on the game by playing the way that she wanted to. And so I'm happy that she did. And she tried her best to make good television for us.
One counter to our claim that the edit is really bad is that not enough players who are women are playing with house money like D, so there's nothing for them to edit. Those
I don't think any of the men are playing with house money. I think when I say playing with house money, I mean isn't that invested in winning and doesn't have anything to prove. Like Dee proved everything she needed to on season 45.
that's
And
true.
I think Kyle was a little bit playing with house
That's true.
money and he just had to go home early. I think
Who's the third winner?
Savannah, but Savannah had something to prove because she was the most recent
Right.
winner. I think Suri
Ooh.
would be playing with house money, but I think she so badly wants to finally win Survivor that she's not. Like, I think that this won't change her reputation no matter what
Right.
happens. I mean, unless something insane happens. Yeah, I think everybody else who's left in the game, including all of the men, are playing
Yeah.
to prove something
They're
and playing a little bit scared because of it.
yeah.
All right, I think we gotta wrap it
Oh,
up.
heck yes,
But
we do. Yeah, we definitely do.
well, thanks, Dad, for talking about this episode of Survivor, and thank you to everyone who is listening and watching. I hope you tune in again next week.
You said it.
All right, I
I
love
love
you.
you too. Bye.
Bye.